Final Fantasy X has been one of my favorite games since I got it on Christmas Eve via the PlayStation Store, way back on its release date, which was December 20th if I can remember correctly. I could have cared less about any of the gifts I got that year, and this is why.
Alright, back to practice.
Graphically, the game has pushed the envelopes for the PS2. It was astonishing to see a rounded edge face. Eyes were also something that really stood out. The game didn't lack in its environment either, with some places looking lush, full of life, and other areas looking barren, full of death. Fighting was no slouch either. Animations were top notch, from using your weapons to summoning demons from above. The game just gave you cold chills and goose pimples. This was one of the last good Squaresoft games before they went and fucked up the entire franchise. Let's check in on the sound. The game had yet again iconic music, right from the get-go too. Once you launched the game, you were immediately treated with this sad tune that gave you the feeling something was wrong. It was so sad that you may have even possibly wept before you started playing the game. The main music used some new remakes of old songs as well. This brought you back into the older Final Fantasy games you played before. Voice acting was, well, it was kinda cheesy, with the Japanese story not translating the greatest.
Come to think of it, I haven't told you where we're going. First to Kilika Island. Then we change boats and head for Luca. For that though, Yuna's gotta pray at the temple. I'll be guarding. We'll be praying for the Aurochs' victory, too, so you come along, yeah?
Great plan.
Hey, it is a great plan.
Don't look at me.
Sometimes the lips look like one of them translated movies you saw with Bruce Lee, but most of the Final Fantasy games had this cheesiness to them. It was to be expected. The big difference here was this one had full voice-on acting instead of cheesy dialogue. It was easily forgiven, but sometimes you kinda wish you spoke Japanese.
Aren't you? From Zanarkand, right?
You hear that from Wakka?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Wakka. Wakka doesn't believe me at all.
Distinctiveness. It was the next generation Final Fantasy game, so of course it was distinctive. It used a Spirit Grid level up system, which at the time I've never saw anything like it before, and I never liked it. At first. Once I began leveling everyone up, I enjoyed the system. It kinda grew on you. The game stood apart from all the other games that were released on PS2 in its time, and this was about the time Final Fantasy broke out of its underground status to the mainstream. Some could argue Final Fantasy VII did this, but I disagree. Final Fantasy VII was the point in which Final Fantasy showed the world how to do a 3D based RPG. This game was released on the PS2, one of the biggest platforms ever to be released to the masses, hence why it became so popular. Not to mention it had this amazing story which drew you in.
Yeah, there is no Zanarkand anymore. Sin destroyed it 1,000 years ago. So no one plays Blitzball there.
With the planets all coming together, aligning in a straight line, an astronomer's dream, each of the characters in the game had their own story. Revealed through side quests or through the main quests, all characters were likable and you wanted to find out everything about each and every one of them. You'll fall in love with Yuna and perhaps even gain a cartoon crush on her. Fuck! I named my cat after Riku. It was an amazing game beginning to end. It even had different outcomes for choices you made. One of which was the first Blitzball tournament you did with Titus. If you won the tournament, which was fucking hard as hell, people would say different things to you or give you gifts. But winning the fucking thing would be like beating Michael Jordan during his prime, but you were as fat as fuck. When I first played it, I didn't know it was possible to win. It was later when I was determined to win. I reloaded saves over and over, and then I realized it was indeed possible. Did you know that? From airships to finding all the summons in this game, it was epic, iconic, and will go down in history as one of the best RPGs ever released.
First place.
Yeah, but he needed our help.
Excuses again?
Yeah, but...
That's it. No more. Enough, Waka.
The gameplay. It's turn-based. None of this fucking shit Final Fantasy 13 would have you think was the way to go. Eat your supper as you play, lay down the controller and run out for hours to come back later that night and pick up where you left off, drunk as fuck. Only to doze off and fall asleep to its tunes to wake up the next morning and continue playing. Unlike the Final Fantasies before it, the camera was fixed on the map screen this time. It was different but acceptable. Though you may think the game was linear, it wasn't. There were side quests all over the place which would open up later in the game. One of which was dodging 200 bolts of lightning on the Thunder Plains. Now buddy, that was a task right there. It took me days to do this, and still today it was one of the most retarded things I'd ever done on a game. See, you had to press X when the screen flashed, and it was fast. If you timed it right, you dodged a bolt of lightning. Now do this 200 times, and it was random as grains of sand in the desert, and you would unlock a powerful weapon. What a fucking task. Jesus, did I ever get mad after I got hit after 150 consecutive dodges. Other things to take note was that there wasn't much armor to equip in this game. 2 pieces. But later in the game you got the ability to add your own stats to each of the weapons that had open slots. Magics were great though. Ga and Ja made their first appearances here. Blizzaga, Blizzaja. It was slightly different than the 1, 2, and 3 they used to do. Navigating the map was dumbed down a little as well. You did have the airship, but you didn't get to drive it. It merely became a point from which you to select to go on the map where you want it to go. In fighting, you could swap characters out without suffering any penalties. I loved it, to be honest. There are mini games throughout the game and puzzles in the temples to grab summons or powerful weapons. This added to the overall game experience. Was the game fun? Game was more than fun. It was like playing through a book from which you didn't want to put it down, and I don't read. As I said earlier, it was like the stars aligning and the game fell from the heavens. It was released before Square went and fucked itself by joining Enix. I cannot stress this enough, for if thou hast not played thy game, grab thou an image of it and play via an emulator. You'll really enjoy this game, I promise. Well, that's if you like old school RPGs. And that's it. I'm pretty sure I've touched on everything. With that, this is DTR Fuck Knox. Thanks for watching and communicate laters.